Dr. Marcic was a Fulbright Scholar at the University of Economics, Prague, and served as an advisor to the United States Ambassador of the Czech Republic. She was a delegate to the UN Commission on the State of Women and the United Nations Economic and Social Development Summit in Copenhagen. Dr. Marcic is currently an adjunct professor at Columbia University and a former professor at Vanderbilt University's own Graduate School of Management, with over 20 years full-time in academia. She is the author of 18 books and was a production assistant at Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and I might add, the best program in the whole wide world. The subject she's going to deal with tonight is perfection in the material world by looking at the transformation of the Baha'i World Centre on Mount Carmel in Haifa, Israel. Thank you, Dorothy, for being here.
You're most welcome. I'd like to thank everyone, and just so I know how to talk about this, are there any people here who are not Baha'is or don't know anything about the faith? Okay, all right, that helps me. And I'd like to start by getting something about you. If you could, if you would, it's up to you, go into the chat and write down, your name will be there, but write down where you're from, where you are now, and what you hope to get from this presentation tonight. So I'm going to open my chat here and start reading to see what people are writing. Okay, just write down where you are now. If that's all you want to write, you don't have to write anything else. But if you would, what you're hoping to get out of this presentation. Okay, maybe nobody's writing. So I'll just go on then. Oh, Toronto, more about the importance of the arts. Well, that's right. That's what and Hamilton, Canada, Quebec, linguistic musician interested in Reconnect. Marble Falls, Texas, as an artist, I'm always inspired. I hope to learn perspectives on life and spirituality. Southwestern Ontario, your view of the arts. Well, I'm so happy because sometimes when you ask that, people come with something different than what you planned. So this is all very relevant to what I'm going to say. I'm going to tell you that I started out in arts, and as a child, when I was 6 years old, I was writing plays and selling tickets for a nickel in my neighborhood. And in grade school and high school, I was writing plays. But then I got off, you know, I was, well, I graduated in radio, TV, film. I worked at Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, but then I got into business administration and became a professor of management and leadership, and taught at various universities, and including Vanderbilt, where I was the director of a master's and doctoral program. And now, then I kind of went back to my original thing. I became a playwright. I woke up one day and said, oh my gosh, I'm a playwright. And I left academia. I came back part-time a few years later because I really missed teaching. But I've really come to see the arts in a new way after being in academia and working with business people, and then coming back to the arts. It's given me a new appreciation, and I want to share some of that with you, the insights I've gotten. And I've been to Israel, to Haifa 12 times. And it's always been so wonderful. And I went, one of the times I went was right after the new ark was developed and the gardens were open. And then some years after that, we went on our third pilgrimage. And so I'm going to be sharing some pictures with you from Haifa that are around that. But let me start with some of the ideas about art in perfection, because I think it's in the writings, but we don't necessarily talk about it a lot. And many artists will tell you that we wish there was more emphasis on the arts in our everyday life, even though there is a lot of emphasis in the writings. So let me, I'm going to share my screen and then I'm going to open my PowerPoint. So let's hope this works. So share. All right. And then, okay, can you see it? Everybody sees it. Okay. So, you know, art and design. Okay, so we think about art, I think, but what about what design? Because that is actually a part of art. Where our design is all around us. I'm trying to get my camera here. We've got the Baha'i houses of worship. Anybody who's been on pilgrimage and you go into the houses there, the House of Abud or in the seat of the House of Justice, you see in the, or the, any of the buildings, you see the importance of design. I remember the first time I went in the seat of the House of Justice, it was like, oh, this is so beautiful. And I decided sometime after that, the house I was living in, I was going to design around that simplicity and that beauty. And so it's around us and it's in the writing. So let me share some of this with you. Uh-oh, what happened? Uh-oh. Let's see. Am I doing something wrong here? Oh no. Okay, stop sharing. I practiced this, but I did not. Okay, maybe this is gonna work. Nope, okay. Anybody's technical better than me here? I've never had this problem before. I've done this. Everybody, you are being screen sharing. Fardus, can you get off of as host? Do you think that would, having two hosts here is?
Dorothy, if you just push the right arrow button on the very bottom of your keyboard, it should go.
Okay, maybe that's it. I've been doing the down one. No, that's what I did. So
No, the one going right.
yes, that's what I did. So
That's Keynote, right?
it's PowerPoint.
There should be something that shows an arrow going, like play slides.
Oh, sorry, what?
Somewhere in the menu at the top, there should be a place to play slideshow.
Well, that's what I just thought I did. Let's see. This is here. This says,
Okay.
isn't that slideshow? Play. Oh, let's go up here. Yes. Okay, let's try.
At the top, Dorothy.
Yeah, play from start. Okay. Let's see. Let's see if that helps.
Voila.
Oh, thank you. Yay. Okay.
That was all the prayers.
Yes, it was. Yes, see the power of spirituality. Okay. So imagine the world without Mona Lisa and Leonardo da Vinci. We've always had that, so we can see the extreme beauty. Or Artemisia Gentileschi, you may not know her, but she was one of the most famous painters of the 17th century in Italy. And Abdu'l-Baha, one of the teachers in the Baha'i faith, the son of the founder, Baha'u'llah, said all the existing arts and sciences were once hidden secrets of nature. By his command and control of nature, man took them out of the plane of the invisible and revealed them in the plane of visibility. So what Abdu'l-Baha is saying, that arts were there, but we couldn't see them. Artists can. I think it was Michelangelo who said, I didn't sculpt David. He was there. I just uncovered him. You know, artists often see things in a different way than other people. That's what makes them artists. I mean, writers see things another way. Engineers, you know, we all have our different ways of seeing things. But what Abdu'l-Baha is saying here is that they're hidden secrets of nature. That means they exist there. And whatever art you have, you're tuning into that. So here's a Johannes Vermeer, the girl with the pearl earring, very beautiful, was a hidden secret of nature before. And the woman in gold, Gustav Klimt, I had the bounty to see this in person several times in New York City. It's on display at the Neue Gallery, which is near the Metropolitan Museum of Art. It was one of the artworks stolen by the Nazis, and the niece of the woman who's in the painting, that the wife, no, she was the niece of Klimt. But the woman who owned the painting, she, her niece or granddaughter, I forget, she sued the German government, went on for years, and she finally got the painting back. She didn't really want it herself. She wanted to display it for the world. And so Ronald Lauder started a museum in New York. The condition of the sale was, you can buy it, but it has to be shown to the public. You can't just put it in your private gallery. So he made a museum of Austrian artwork, and it's just wonderful. And you go there and the gold is sprinkling and everything. So it's just so uplifting to see these works of art that were hidden secrets of nature. And here's a Nigerian-born LA-based artist, Nijid, I can't say her name, but beautiful artwork. Now, this is shock art. You might have heard of this, where it's not meant to be beautiful, but to shock you. And there's a famous article that challenges this kind of art, saying it only shocks once. If you try to copy it, then it's boring after that. It's not really, because it doesn't, things like, and this is real artwork, by the way, it's not just somebody's messy bed. It doesn't uplift you, doesn't challenge your thinking in any way. I mean, art doesn't have to be beautiful in the sense you go, it just should help you question, understand people and the human condition and so on. Here's a Baha'i friend of mine, Autumn Grace Doherty, who lives in Ann Arbor, Michigan. She studied at the Pratt Institute and studying fibers as a piece of art, and she does fiber collage. She does very beautiful work. And she and I had long talks about this shock art. She said, as an artist studying, she was pressured so much to do shock work, but she had to resist it because she read the writings that what art is supposed to be, and it's not supposed to be like that and create psychological torment. And here's a Baha'i who has a company, Layli Dies Hard, based on Japanese shibori. And she says, what we adorn ourselves with is very important, and I believe it should be intentional. So why not have our clothes be beautiful? Why not have it be intentional? And I want to go back. And in fact, the first time I went on pilgrimage, I remember going through the archives, and the group before me had gone, and one of the members from that, she came, she said, you know, when you go through the archives, you realize how important beauty was to Baha'u'llah and the Bab, and the Bab was the forerunner of Baha'u'llah. And it's true, it really gave me a whole new consciousness about beauty and why beauty is an attribute of God. And so drama, which is the art that I've spent most of my time in, Abdu'l-Baha, the son of Baha'u'llah, the founder of the Baha'i faith, said drama is of the utmost importance. It's been a great educational power in the past and will be so again. And you see those masks there, those are from the Greeks. The Greeks invented drama as we know it. And what I learned not so long ago was that they invented comedy to make fun of politicians. And here are some plays that I've seen that are really deep and speak to the human condition. Fiddler on the Roof, a lot of you have probably seen it. You may not know that the musical that is the largest attendance by Hispanics is Fiddler on the Roof. You go, what? It's about a Jewish family, but it's about family. It's really about family, and so relates to many cultures. And then there's Death of a Salesman, Arthur Miller, August Wilson's Fences, which was also all three of those have been made into movies. And Lorraine Hansberry's A Raisin in the Sun, about a Black family trying to move into a white neighborhood and the resistance of it back in 1950s Chicago. How I Learned to Drive, Paula Vogel, it's about incest and the sort of after effects of it. I took a class from Paula Vogel once, she's just amazing. And then Jean Genet's The Blacks, which turns racial domination on its head and really struck a chord in New York when it played in 1961, and is arguably the beginning of the Black theater second movement that started in the 60s. And that was closely followed by the Dutchman Amiri Baraka's play that was also made into a movie, but it really captured the essence of racial differences and conflicts and caused quite a stir, but it did very well on Broadway. And then Hamilton, I've seen Hamilton 5 times. It's like, I love it. It's really, the first time I saw it was when it played at the Public before it was on Broadway. And my friend Janice and I went, and we looked at each other after it was over. We said, this is what theater could and should be, because it challenges your assumptions, it uplifts you, it makes you see things differently. And it certainly has had a wonderful trajectory since then. And the Thanksgiving play, which I saw a couple years ago, which is written by a Native American woman about Thanksgiving and all the things that white people were doing wrong to celebrate it. So it was, again, another look from another culture at this holiday. It was a comedy. It was very funny. And then Nathan Allen Davis, who's a Baha'i, I've known his family for decades. He is so talented. And I've seen several of his plays. When he was a student at Juilliard, I went to the plays he did then, and I've seen The High Ground and the Nat Turner in Jerusalem. He's, you know, I think a new generation of playwrights that's able to look at race and the human condition in a positive way and help us to understand how to get further along than we are. And then Shoghi Effendi, who was the grandson of Abdu'l Baha, who was the guardian of the Baha'i faith. So he was the leader of the Baha'i faith for until he died. He says, it is through such presentations that we can arouse the interest of the greatest number of peoples in the spirit of the cause. That day will the cause spread like wildfire when its spirit and teachings will be presented on the stage or in art and literature as a whole. Art can better awaken such noble sentiments than cold rationalizing, especially among the mass of people. I will tell you, I can attest to this because I spent most of my adult career as a management professor teaching many courses to graduate and undergraduate students, and also giving 2,000 keynote presentations and seminars on various topics related to management, leadership, and so on. And I loved it because I felt like I was touching people's hearts and got excited. But when I got into the arts and had these musicals that went commercial, one was Respect and the other one was Sisters that played 9 years off Broadway, I saw how people were electrified in a way that I could never really achieve, as much as excited as they got to the presentations I gave on topics, because I was talking about rational things, trying to reach their heart, which I did. But the arts doesn't have to go through the head to the heart, which I had to. It goes straight to your heart and soul. And if it's good, and if there's something there, it awakens people in a way. I mean, with Sisters, we had people coming back 10 times to see the show and bringing all their friends. And my first musical, which was called Respect, which is about the history of women through top 40 music, from codependent to independent, from someone to watch over me to I Will Survive. It started because I was asked to give a talk on the equality of men and women at the Social Economic Development Conference. And I thought, I'm going to try to prove that popular music charts the development of women, the equality of women. And I actually found that. I gave this 45-minute presentation. People were going nuts. They begged the presenters to have another session so they could bring their husbands and their sons and their daughters. And so we had standing room only that one. And I realized it was onto something. And so every presentation I gave as a one-woman show, just people went bananas. And I turned it into a musical, got picked up by commercial producers. But it was something that nobody had done before. Nobody had really looked at the underlying meaning of music and how it's changed through our culture. And I was like, the only time in my life I probably was first on something, but it awakened these noble sentiments, because I remember a man who came in the early days when I was playing in Florida, who sent me an email afterwards, and he said, my whole life I've been so upset with my mother because she didn't treat me well. She was angry all the time, and I couldn't understand it. But I watched your musical and I saw what women had to go through and how they came out of it. And he said, now I get what my mother was. And he said, I can forgive her. I walked outside the theater and the sky was bluer. The clouds were whiter. And I had this kind of reaction all the time. And also with sisters, I thought, art can awaken noble sentiments in people, and it's a unifying force. And this is all here for us in the Baha'i writings. And Abdu'l-Baha says, if a man engages with all his power in the acquisition of a science or the perfection of an art, it has been as if he has been worshiping God in the churches and temples. So acquiring a science or perfection in art is worship. And if we see it that way, I think it can change how we manifest our behavior. So here's a Baha'i artist, and you can see she's perfected her art. She started out, nobody knew her in the beginning, and now you can hardly get one of her paintings. Shireen Safa. And Mark Toby, who was an early Baha'i painter who was very well known. And then Abdu'l-Baha, it is natural for the heart and spirit to take pleasure and enjoyment in all things that show forth symmetry, harmony, and perfection. I have to say, this quote really impacted me in a different way. I'm going to start it over again because it is so meaningful for me. It is natural for the heart and spirit to take pleasure and enjoyment in all things that show forth symmetry, harmony, and perfection. For instance, a beautiful house, a well-designed garden, a symmetrical line, a graceful motion, a well-written book, pleasing garments. In fact, all things that have in themselves grace or beauty are pleasing to the heart and spirit. Therefore, it is most certain that a true voice causes deep pleasure. So think of all the things that are manifestations of spirit: a graceful motion, a well-written book, a symmetrical line. These are all manifestations of beauty, which is an attribute of God, and Abdu'l-Baha is extolling these. And so here's a beautiful building, the Taj Mahal. People have flocked to this for centuries and are in awe of it because of its grace and its beauty. Nader Saidi, have any of you heard him talk? He's such a great, he was a professor at Carleton, and now has a Baha'i chair out in California. He wrote a book called Gate of the Heart. He's, fabulous speaker. In fact, he was giving a fireside on some Zoom this week also. The requirement to realize the perfection of all things is simultaneously the requirement to refine and beautify all things. Emphasizing the importance of this law, the Bab writes in the Persian Bayan, for in this religion, no other command is as rigorously enjoined as the duty of refinement. The duty of refinement, not the joy of refinement, the duty of it. And it is forbidden that one bring any object into being in a state of imperfection when one hath the power to manifest it in full perfection. You know, this quote was very meaningful to me when I built a house with my daughter and son-in-law up in Woodstock, New York, because it was very expensive. And I was going, oh my God, just like, you know, whenever you do something like that, it always costs more money and takes longer than you think. But then I read this quote and realized we had to bring it to its full potential because this is required of us. And here's the Louvre in Paris, full potential beauty. And more from the Bob. For example, one should build an edifice. Oh, wait, sorry. For example, should one build an edifice and fail to elevate it to the utmost state of perfection possible for it, there would be no moment in the life of that edifice when angels would not beseech God to torment him. Nay, rather, all the atoms of that edifice would do the same. For each thing within its own station yearneth to attain unto the utmost height of excellence in its own level. Thus should a man who is capable not realize and respond to the yearnings of his capability, he will be held accountable therefore. It is required of us in order not to torment God, to reach things to their perfection. I sew and I bake, and I think about this quote when I do that. Making something to its full potential, it's our duty. And it is ordained in this religion to design the doors of each place to allow a tall man to enter through them without bending his head. It behooveth them each day to build all the places in the utmost manner of exaltation possible at that time, so that happily in the day of the revelation of God, nothing that causeth grief may be witnessed in his kingdom. These quotes have touched my soul very deeply, and I hope they impact you too. Here's the highest of worship in Panama, how the beauty of it, utmost perfection, I think we can say. So now I want to talk about transformation and how it's revealed in the Baha'i World Centre. And the Universal House of Justice said the beauty and magnificence of the gardens and terraces in Haifa and the World Centre are symbolic of the nature of the transformation which is destined to occur both within the hearts of the world's people and in the physical environment of the planet. And I think we see that we have quite a ways to go for the hearts of the people of the world to transform. But if you go to the UN Commission on the Status of Women, like I do every year, I'm a delegate, and see 30,000 people coming from all over the world sharing the work they're doing to elevate the lives of women and girls, you feel this new world order being built up. Because in the news, it's all the downfall of the old world order. And it's painful. It's really painful to watch this world fall apart. But being around people who are building the new can be uplifting. And I tell myself, I used to read the New York Times cover to cover. Now I just read the first paragraph of a lot of articles because I remember the quotation, I will not dwell on the unpleasant things of life. It doesn't mean we shouldn't be informed. Shoghi Effendi, the guardian of the Baha'i faith, read 5 newspapers. He said we should be concerned with the exigencies of the day in which we live. But the writings also, I will not dwell on the unpleasant things of life because it can really drag you down. And in my research a couple of years ago, I came across, I don't know if anybody here has a Catholic background. I grew up as a Lutheran, and I did not know that in Catholicism, despair is a mortal sin, which means if you die with a mortal sin on your soul, you go to hell. What is that? Why despair? Because despair freezes you. You feel you can't do anything. You get depressed, and you stop doing anything to make the world better. So despair is a terrible thing, and why we need to put focus on beauty and the transformation and the good things that are happening as people build up this new world order. So these gardens are symbolic of the nature of transformation. And that's really what the rest of this presentation is going to be about, how the gardens are a symbol of the transformation. Farbor Sapa, who was the architect of the Ark, the gardens in the Holy Land, he said art is an expression of the outpourings of the Holy Spirit. So the Holy Spirit, as we're going to see, as Abdu'l-Baha says, all art is a gift of the Holy Spirit. When this light shines through the mind of a musician, it manifests itself in beautiful harmonies. So the Holy Spirit guides us and gives us the motivation and the light to be able to create this wonderful art. So transformative power of spiritual qualities and beauty is manifested in changes to Mount Carmel. I'm going to show you a short movie that I made, and we're going to look at what Mount Carmel was 100 years and more ago compared to what it is now, so you can see the transformation. There's some music which I hope comes through in this share, which is the Queen of Carmel, sung by Adrian Ewing Rausch. And then the second part of the movie goes to pictures of the Holy Land from a couple of my pilgrimages with my family, and with this other beautiful song playing. So you can feel the upliftedness of the beauty and the transformation. And when you see the transformation from what the Mount Carmel was to what it is now, you can see the transformative power of spiritual qualities and beauty. And remember what the House of Justice said, this is a manifestation, how the hearts of people will change in the world and the physical way the planet is. Let's go on this.
Standing from the mountain, looking across the bay, Queen of the rain, she reigns majestically. Right on Zion, through your Lord, right on Zion, circle around in adoration. Circle around your Lord. I have been searching for you endlessly. Yearning. My kindred flame across eternity. I have followed every winding road, sent my prayer to every star, till I long abandoned any hope, and now here you are. It's as if I've been sleeping for 1,000 years, and as my heart awakes, I find all this time forever has been waiting here. My beloved, I felt your song across the universe in full. How I've been longing to know you. And the things that I have been so blessed to be standing here. All my dreams awake in your caress and come shining through.
So, stop share. Okay. I hope that all came through. I got a message in the middle that said my internet connection's unstable. Is so this is beauty, perfection in the writings and the transformation of the Holy Land as a manifestation of it, but the importance of beauty and design. Anyone have any comments or questions? Are we still sharing?
We're not seeing it.
No. Oh, I lost you. What happened? Wait, Zoom.
It says you're starting to share.
It's starting to share. Okay,
That's what it says. It says has started to share screen sharing,
But it's just a
Okay,
black.
but still it's not connected yet.
yeah, I lost the Zoom. I lost the Zoom here. Okay. I'm gonna have to let me reboot. Okay, I'll be right back.
Well, that's better now.
Looking across the bay, the Queen of Carmel reigns. She reigns majestically. Cry out, O Zion. Cry out to your Lord. Cry out, O Zion. Circle round in adoration. Circle round your Lord. I have been searching for you endlessly, yearning. My kindred flame across eternity, burning. I have followed every winding road and sent my prayer to every star, till I'd long abandoned any hope, and now here you are. It's as if I'd been sleeping for 1,000 years, and as my heart awakes I find all this time forever has been waiting in your eyes, my beloved. I felt your song across the universe in full. come shining through.
Was that better?
Way better.
Okay, thanks for the help. Any comments or questions? This is about beauty, transformation, and the importance of beauty in the world, and us doing whatever we can to help create perfection and beauty.
Mhm.
Anyone like to say anything? How did this strike you when you some of the quotations or the movie?
Gibby, go ahead.
Yes, Dr. How do you pronounce your last name? Marcic?
Marcic. It's like it
I
rhymes with Carsick.
Thank you. I went to one of your talks a few years ago in Washington, and I
Oh,
asked you questions, and I couldn't understand why you had all these beautiful gardens while some people go hungry, the poor little children with no food, and you explained it to me so well. So that helped in my transformation. This evening, I see everything differently. So thank you so much. It's like a
What was-
miracle happened, and now I can see.
well, what's the question you asked me a while ago again? I missed that.
2 years ago?
Mhm.
Why did you spend all that money on gardens and all that stuff while the poor little kids were going hungry?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So thanks for that.
Okay. You're welcome. Thanks for
What
the comment.
did you say, Dorothy? Please share the answer with us.
Well, Gibby, do you want to say what I said, or because
Well,
you
maybe
remember more?
not exactly, but how all this, when people went and saw the gardens and all this beauty, they were so inspired to
Mhm.
live better lives and something along that line. More than that, I don't remember all your
Yeah.
words. It really touched me.
I think and what I would say now is that it's not a binary choice of beauty or feeding starving children, and that certainly you can have a beautiful garden and do what you can to save starving children. In fact, I every year am a delegate to the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women. That's all about feeding starving children around the world. And I also write plays, and I also love beauty and built a beautiful house. But it is when you have something that's beautiful, people feel differently, and it does transform them and motivate them and even get them out of their despair. There's so many people who are in despair these days. And whatever we can do to uplift their spirit is helping them and helping the world.
We can do both. So I
Yes.
didn't get that. We can do all
Yeah.
of it.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
If I can just make a comment, Dorothy, thank you so much for that presentation. It was just to see the juxtaposition between the natural state of the mountain and to also acknowledge and recognize and really honor Shoghi Effendi's original drawings.
Oh,
I think
yes.
that might be another element of your future film. Is
That's a great idea.
to put some of his drawings in there. I was so taken. I'm an artist myself. And when I first saw those original drawings from my teacher who taught me about the Baha'i faith, she's indigenous as well. And she said, he's going to transform this whole holy mountain into a beautiful garden. And at that time I thought, wow, how is he going to do that? And then gradually over 45 years, you could see what that great architect, that was his blueprint of what he saw as the grandson of Abdul Baha, as the great grandson of Baha'u'llah. And just reminded me. And then just to talk about, the starving children of the world. This is what will enable people to be more conscientious of people around them. If you see beauty, and as an artist, I can see beauty in something that's not so beautiful and to transform it to look inside of it and see that beauty. And yeah, thank you so much. That was very inspiring. Thank you, Dorothy.
Thank you. And I think that's a wonderful idea of putting some of his drawings in there, because it was everything. When I look at the, the birds and everything, those are his designs, right? And the fountains and the gardens, everything.
Yes, and also like several of his designs there, when Indigenous people go to the Holy Land and they see these huge stars, and they're 8-pointed stars that he made originally, and then the eagles, that's very attractive to Indigenous people because they have the star blanket. Eagle is the most, that high flies the highest in the world, that is the intermediary between God and humankind. These kind of sentiments are all there. And as you know, Shoghi Effendi was really adamant about, in North America, that we should teach Indigenous people that they have something to give us. And yeah. Oh, what an inspiring evening. Thank you, Farouz.
Thank you. And Yella?
Yes, I think Gibby brings up a really important question. What it costs to build a football field, what it costs to build a bomber, just a bomber and the bombs. The beloved guardian and the architects were able to build out of stone the eighth wonder of the world. And so that juxtaposition right there is extraordinarily important for our concept, our constructs of what is possible when the human heart is aligned with the Holy Spirit. The other thing is that architecture, the Baha'i architects have won over and over and over the most prestigious awards for breaking the bounds of what is possible. And this too is important for us as an example. But I read a study, you were talking about shock art. I read a deep sociological study about why was this even attempted? And it really was the initial impetus of shock art, was to see how many people would go, oh, okay, that's the, so how gullible are we? And the experiment failed miserably because we are terribly gullible. And now sociologists are judging our suburbia, our housing, our gulag-like putting up structures with the health of our hearts. So it is an expression, beauty in the world, and bringing it to life is an expression of the soul's longing to bring heaven into the realm of choice, into the material realm of being.
Very beautiful.
Thank you so much, Aniela. Thank you. Friends, any question or comment? Mr. Perimal, you're very quiet tonight. Yeah. Mr. Perimal is joining us from Australia. How about you, Sholeh John?
Thank you, Farushan. I'm really delighted to hear Dorothy speak about the subject in such a profound way. And even besides the beauty of the World Centre and what it signifies for now and for future, I'm also looking at her challenging us to look at our role that we can each play to bring about beauty and design in our own individual settings. I normally, Farushan, you remember I used to have the my Ruhi book gatherings at my place on Thursday, so I couldn't join you. I've moved them to a Wednesday. And so I'm able to join you today. But last night we had a rather large group for our group, and everyone was commenting on the beauty of the house that we designed. Charles Boyle, my late husband, was an environmental architect and also very design oriented, and had made a couple of submissions for some of the houses of worship. And his whole notion was attraction to beauty. When we say blessed beauty, we are really attracted to the beauty of Baha'u'llah. And in this material realm, that's reflected in the choices that we make. The beautiful house that Dorothy, you were able to build and design, was a tribute and putting into concrete terms or ways that beauty that we are called to perceive and promote as Baha'is at a higher level. And I see that the comments that were made last night about this house that I'm sitting talking to you from, everyone just comes up with it. It's Zen, but it's so spacious. It feels as if it's so welcoming, and it's made for, and we built it to be large enough, but interesting enough with nooks and crannies for meditation, for big gatherings of any kind, but in a cozy way, in a very comfortable way, but attracting that beauty that we're called to upon. And Nader Saidi has referred to it, and you have reminded us of it. So thank you so much. Totally appreciate it.
Yeah. And where is your house?
It's on Vancouver Island, outside Nanaimo, and I'm overlooking a really huge green vista in front of me and a lake in the distance, and it's front pioneering. That's
It sounds wonderful. And you said you made it big enough, but you also made it inclusive, because you can make something big and very cold, but it obviously have warmth and beauty there that people are attracted to and uplifts them.
It's a blessing that we share. For the bicentenary, we had 83 people in here, and I cannot believe how we did that, but it all happened and set on all the holy days. So it's the biggest space, biggest house, but in a cozy way. All to say that to count our blessings if we have the possibility to do it, but even in a small 1-bedroom or suite, you can still, I believe we can still have the focus on beauty and design and simplicity and modesty and colors. Colors are really big. So that's, and sometimes color is white, which is my favorite color, but it's one of them. It's yes, just listening to Louise as well and Bob tonight, I was reminded of my month I spent in Belize in Dangriga, just volunteering and serving. The colors and everything just reminded me of living in Solomon Islands again, where we were pioneering for many years in the South Pacific. But it brought back the simplicity, the color, the beauty that God has put there. All we have to do is just choose to see it. Thank you.
I'm so happy that you brought up modesty, because we're not all blessed with funds that can build these magnificent pieces. So then where is beauty in a one-room dirt home? It comes alive with the souls that are in it, the souls that keep it so clean. I'm reminded of Nabil that would, shaved his beard and made it into a broom and collected the dust of Baula and would walk it to the ocean every day. So, beauty is so multifaceted in its grandeur, in its modesty. And I would say that the Guardian was the epitome of modesty and also majesty.
Thank you, Aniela. Thank you so much. Well, Pina, welcome. Pina is joining us from Malaysia. Pina, you're late, but it's okay. You can always go to the Baha'is of Oakville and watch the video. It's beautiful. So Pina,
I know.
unmute yourself. Go ahead.
Sorry. Yes, being here itself is such a beauty, really. And I'm reminded of what Abdul Baha said, let your actions day by day be a beautiful prayer. Yeah, Baha'u'llah, this is so beautiful. Seeing your faces, being here, listening to this wonderful, beautiful talk is such a beauty. And I am also reminded way back 1975 when we had a teaching campaign in the Philippines. Mr. Junabi Caldwell spearhead the teaching campaign, and he taught us a song from Alaska. What that says, I live in beauty. I live in beauty. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I walk in beauty. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And all that. And then I pray in beauty. All that, you know. And until now, I'm just humming it and singing it. And so beautiful. You know, the rhythm, also music is such a beauty that it inspires us. And it's so beautiful. It's a music, even our actions must be melodious as well. And that is called the beauty in everything that we see. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Pina. Stay, don't go anywhere. At 8:30, we're going to start our devotions. Hi,
Maninja.
Maninja Hastin. That's perfect. Everyone knows Farsi these days. Welcome, Jane. Please go ahead.
Yes, I wondered. I loved your talk, Dorothy. It was very inspiring, and I guess I have to go clean my house and do those things that I've been procrastinating on. So you've inspired that. But I wondered if you knew Dr. Rue or worked with him at all, because he was a family friend. And so we have many of his paintings and his work around. And I'm always surprised that more Baha'is don't have Dr. Rue's work and don't exhibit it. He was a phenomenal painter. And I know my uncle requested that I locate him so that they could talk to one another. He was my uncle's mentor in medical school. And the Society of Filmmakers or whatever in medicine honored him. Because apparently he was the first person to recognize how powerful film could be in educating medical students. It seems like an obvious thing, but he was the person who started it.
Well, yeah, he
So.
had a filmmaking company after he retired from the House of Justice. My son-in-law, Ryan Lash, worked for him in Rosendale, New York, which is just 10 miles from where I'm living now.
Good.
And Ryan is still in touch with he knew Doug and then Chris, but there is a sister whose name I've forgotten who lives somewhere up here. And he's talked about her also. So they were very close, and Ryan's taken me past the house where they worked and everything. They did a lot of good things.
But I'd be happy to send you a sample of one that I have, the ink, the ink of the scholar, the blood of the martyr.
Oh,
he has an amazing piece on that. It's very emotional.
I'm going to put my email in here in case anybody wants to contact me, okay?
Thank you, because I just feel like somebody should put his work together. I mean, he has other things. I have a Missouri landscape that he gave us and all kinds of things, but his work for the faith was really fine.
I'll ask Ryan. Ryan would probably know if somebody worked on that because he was so central to their that organization they formed.
Thank you.
Is anybody else here an artist? We have a couple of people who identified.
Dr. Marcic, can I read what it's on the chat?
Yes.
Thanks so much, so and so, for inviting Dr. Marcic Marcic, her presentation inspired me, even as I'm already old and ever amateur artist, to continue with my small talents in the different aspects like music, poetry, and little of rough sketching.
It's so beautiful. It's never too late to develop your skills. I became a playwright in my 50s, and I got my I went for an MFA, not because I wanted to get a degree, I just wanted to learn playwriting, and I ended up with a degree in my 60s. So it's just something we can keep learning and practicing, and even whatever level we're at. And if nothing else inspires us, but you can share it with those around you. I have a friend who's 70 years old, and last year she started doing stand-up comedy, and now she runs this stand-up comedy program for women over 50. And it just whatever, and she brings joy to people's hearts. So I'm really pleased to hear that.
Also, thank you, Dr. Marcic, for your presentation. The quotations inspired me to proceed and learn more about arts, design, culture, and other aspects of humanities in the Baha'i perspective.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. And again, my email's there if anybody is there. So I'll sign off now. Thank you so much.
Let me finish with the third one because Jody.
Okay.
And her email's not showing up.
It's not? Oh, because I did it as a direct message. Oh no. Okay. Okay, there we go.
Meanwhile, I read this for you. I
Okay.
appreciate the wisdom and beauty you have given us through the readings, music, and images of the gardens. I continue to learn the deep reverence for the arts in this faith.
Fursandijan, your voice is very low. We cannot hear.
I know, I'm sorry. I have done my best.
Now is good. Now is much better.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dorothy, for
Thank you so much, everyone. Okay, aloha pa.
Aloha pa. We love
Yeah.
you.
I love you.
Oh,
You have a wonderful evening for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Friends, at this time we start our devotional. And Gary, why are you turning off your screen? And Gary?
I'm in the midst of doing several things at once. I was driving initially. I'm just getting things in order. I'm here. I'm listening.
Gary, come back because we want to say prayers. Friends, please, let's start prayers. Pina, start. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, this is the prayer that I'm learning because I love collecting prayers in different languages. And that is the remover of difficulties, which is the shortest. This is in Mandarin language. Chule Shangdi, Hayu Shi Shi Chuku Junanze, Yu Yang Yi, Shan Mi Gai Yu Shangdi, Da Chi Shangdi, Wan Sheng Ji Qi Pu Yi, Ren Ren. Son killing you, Bob.
Thank you, Gibby. Gibby, are you saying a French prayer?
Good, I suppose.
Okay.
You're so transparent. I'm sorry. I only say that to sisters. I'll do it. Okay. Okay. Ô mon Seigneur, fais de ta beauté ma nourriture, de ta présence mon breuvage, de ton plaisir mon espoir, de ta louange mon action, de ton souvenir mon compagnon, de ta puissance souveraine mon secours, de ton habitation mon foyer, et fais de ma demeure le lieu que tu as purifié de l'imitation imposée à ceux qu'un voile sépare de toi. Tu es en vérité le Tout-Puissant, le très glorieux, l'Omnipotent. Excuse ma voix.
This prayer that I'll read is dedicated for the protection of our brethren in Iran and also in Israel. O my Lord, thou knowest that the people are encircled with pain and calamities, and are environed with hardships and trouble. Every trial doth attack men, and every dire adversity that assail him, like unto the assault of a serpent. There is no shelter and asylum for him, except under the wing of thy protection and preservation, guard and custody. O thou, the merciful one, O my Lord, make thy protection my armor, thy preservation my shield, humbleness before the door of thy oneness my guard, and thy custody and defense my fortress and my abode. Preserve me from the suggestions of self and desire, and guard me from every sickness, trial, difficulty, and ordeal. Verily, thou art the protector, the guardian, the preserver, the sufficer, and verily, thou art the merciful of the most merciful. Abdul Baha.
Lord God, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, harden forgiveness and mercy. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is hope, despair, hope, openness, and acceptance. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy, contentment, and beauty. And, O Divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive. It is in pardoning that we are pardoned. It is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Amen.
O divine providence, bestow thou in all things purity and cleanliness upon the people of Baha. Grant that they may be freed from all defilement, and released from all addictions. Save them from committing any repugnant act. Unbind them from the chains of all evil habits, that they may live pure and free, wholesome and cleanly, worthy to serve at thy sacred threshold, and fit to be related to their Lord, Abdul Baha.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. O Lord my God, open thou the doors, prepare the means, make safe the path, and guide the way. For verily thou art the help in peril, the self-subsisting Ya Baha'ul Apar, Ya Baha'ul Apar, Ya Baha'ul Apar. O Lord my God, open thou the doors, prepare the means, make safe the path, and guide the way. For verily thou art the help in peril, the self-subsisting Ya Baha'ul Apar, Ya Baha'ul Apar, Ya Baha'ul Apar.
Friends, thank you so very much to be here tonight. I'm sorry if my voice was problematic, but I'll work on it again for the next week. I'll do my best. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here tonight. It was wonderful. Dorothy is a power woman, like all of you. I would like to measure up to every one of you. And of course, because Gary has been very kind to us, and so is Mr. Perimal. A few men who are here, Beza John. So we are all the same. It doesn't matter. No differentiation in gender. Thank you for being here. Much love. Yes.
Excuse me.
We love you.
I have I put something in the chat. I have two events coming up. I posted them in the chat. One is a fireside tomorrow. All the information's in the chat. And I also have one coming up on the 21st. Information's in the chat, and would appreciate if anyone would like to be a part of it. So
Thank you.
And please invite others. Tomorrow night is Partners in Racial Justice. It's a tremendous Zoom group that really put on good productions and Gary will be featured tomorrow. And then Sunday night, I don't know what the group is, but the information is on the chat. So please copy it down.